Hey guys, welcome to a healer's guide for Heroic Morchok. The Morchok fight is essentially identical to the one you see in normal Dragon Soul, only now there are two of them. Essentially what was once a 25-man fight is now two completely separate fights with one group of 13 and one of 12. Unlike most Firelands, where you could get away with 3 to 4 healers, cough, heroic rag, cough. Suddenly, for the first fight in Heroic Dragon Soul, you need 7, sometimes 8. There is really no reason to not bring 8 healers as long as DPS and tanks do not die. It is very important to favor raid healing specs and classes that are better at raid healing, such as a Resto Druid or a Holy Priest. However, you do need at least 1 Holy Paladin, hopefully 2, one for each side. In our case, we don't have 2 Holy Paladins, so we had to use a Holy Paladin and a Resto Shaman, which worked out fine, but just keep that in mind for both sides. We found in our wipes that once someone dies, no matter what side they're on, Cockram or Morchok, it's very difficult to recover. You should split healers equally, 4 and 4. If you only have 7 on the side that gets 3, I would put the strongest healers, which would usually be the Holy Pally, Holy Priest, and Resto Druid. No offense to the Resto Shamans and Disc Priests out there. Disc isn't too bad for this fight, as Barrier is good in a pinch, but if you find yourself wondering Holy or Disc, and you only have 2 priests, have them both be Holy, because the healing throughput is quite different. Also, mana problems should not be too much of an issue if you use your hymns wisely. Hopefully no one dies, especially healers. So mana, you'll be low, but you won't have extreme problems. One thing to also keep in mind when splitting the raid into 2 groups is cooldowns. We have a warrior tank and a DPS warrior, so they were split 1 in each group for rallying cry. Try to also split priests, including Shadow, equally for hymns. If you do run with 6 or 7 healers, make sure that the side with the fewer healers gets classes with more personal cooldowns, rogues, Death Knights, etc., to help mitigate the damage. At the beginning of the fight, the entire raid stacks behind the boss to soak the first stomp. I recommend using Barrier or a Prot Pally's Divine Guardian to mitigate that first stomp. Then the raid will split into 2, 1 tank going left and 1 going right. There will be a crystal spawn almost immediately, which is rough for healers. It is important that we found to move the entire boss and group to the crystal instead of having healers in range running back and forth between stomps, which caused a whole host of healing issues. You must always take stomp damage before you go soak crystal damage. I repeat, stomp, then crystal. Some healers will definitely need to help soak the crystal damage, but Holy Pallies and Priests and Shamans can probably do fine staying out if the entire group is moving to the crystal. I won't go over the order, but always stomp before the crystal. Sometimes there will be 2 or 3 stomps before crystals. I recommend using raid CDs and hymns for right after the stomp but before a crystal in those cases. It is also highly recommended that tanks be vocal about when they need external cooldowns. I've said it before, and I'll say that again, forever.
I'll need an external though.
Is that coming?
I'll need another external for the next stop.
Like Pain Suppression, Hand of Sack, and Guardian Spirit. It will take them a while to work out when to CD and when not to. Hint, the longer the fight goes on, the worse it gets. Also, they should focus on using major CDs when taking multiple stomps and then a crystal, as it's hard to keep up with the healing. When the black stuff comes out, just get behind a spike. It's pretty simple. We found that our group was being pulled south by the crystals, so every time the black blood happened, we just ran north to avoid being pulled into trash or the portal. Yes, we did get close one time. Usually a rogue or DK will stand out and DPS the boss during that part of the fight, and while the spikes LOS, it is beneficial to throw a shield or at least a hot on them to help them out. They shouldn't die though, unless they're bad at using CDs, in which case, you should address it. You will not see the other group at all after the split, and if anyone dies, it is hard to recover, but you should still try to balance out the battle reses when splitting groups. You really don't want to have someone run from the other group just to res someone, as I did last night. Be careful when you're running around after crystals or black blood to not stand under the boss or near the tank, otherwise you will soak too much damage from stomp and die. Always stand with the group, and it helps to mark someone who will always be in the right place so you know to stand on them. The stomp has a radius of 25 yards, so as long as you're within that, you should be good. Hopefully this helps you, and good luck in your attempts of Heroic Morchok.